knowledge over distance using telecommunication and includes consultative, diagnostic, and treatment services. So what we are trying to do, Mr. Speaker, is just to amend Section 2 to ensure when you go, Mr. Speaker, before a doctor, your consultant, you can go when you are somewhere in Garissa, County Referral Hospital, and you can engage your doctor in KNH or MTRH, Mr. Speaker, or even outside the country. Mr. Speaker, promote the use of e-health and telemedicine for prevention and management of persons with cancer, and promote treatment of persons with cancer as component of primary health care. Mr. Speaker, on this, it's very simple. In my opening remarks, cancer continues to be the greatest third killer in the country. And therefore, we must, I'm not saying only cancer, we must put in place, Mr. Speaker, in place necessary mechanisms to put in place, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the e-health strategy is anchored on the achievement of Vision 2030, whose overall goal is health to have an equitable and affordable health care of the highest achievable standards. Mr. Speaker, the reading of our Constitution, Mr. Speaker, is very clear on the access. And in fact, this should have started with my submission, Mr. Speaker. When you read, Mr. Speaker, on Article 43 on economic and social rights, 1A, it talks to the highest attainable standards of health, which includes the right to health care services, including reproductive health care, Mr. Speaker. So what we are saying is implementing the Article 43 on economic and social rights, access to attainable, highest, in fact the Constitution is very specific, highest attainable standards of health. So what we are just doing is to make sure the health care is accessible, it's practicable, Mr. Speaker. You don't need to buy air ticket to fly to India or America or anywhere. You contact that hospital that you want to engage and your consultant here in Nairobi or even in Kapsabet or any other counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this with an emphasis that we have invested so much in ICT infrastructure. In the country, we are laying the cable across the country. Mr. Speaker, Kenya is one of the biggest access to internet, apart from South Africa in Africa, Mr. Speaker. Access to internet. And therefore, we must use internet. I know, Mr. Speaker, the President has been pushing for ICT apps in more than 290 constituencies, Mr. Speaker. Even a place called Taptengele in Tindret sub-county, where young people are going there in that tertiary college and work online, Mr. Speaker. If we can work online to earn money, Mr. Speaker, from Taptengele, in Kaiboi, across the nation, Mr. Speaker, it means there is a possibility of using telemedicine and e-health as part of the, Mr. Speaker. So if we have to attain, as per Article 43, 1A, the highest standard of health, Mr. Speaker, is known. And it comes at the backdrop. Mr. Speaker, the other day, and I want to thank, I wish Senator Boni Khalwale was here. I want to thank the head of public service, Felix Kosgei, Cabinet Minister, Mama Waziri, Susan Akumicha, Mr. Speaker, and a retinue of government officials, including the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Labor, Florence Bore, for ensuring that the issue of industrial action or the doctor strike was amicably resolved, Mr. Speaker. I am aware, and I want to challenge the same team for resolving that issue. I want to challenge the same team that now that, Mr. Speaker, the laboratory technicians are still on strike, Mr. Speaker, and clinical officers, I wish also those issues could be addressed, because at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, we need human resource to run these hospitals. So the moment human resource within the health sector is in dire strains, Mr. Speaker, is very, and that is a clarion call to Council of Governors, that as they say, in the highest possible point, somewhere in Mount Everest, Mr. Speaker, and we send our condolences to a number of people who have lost their lives whilst trying to climb Mount Everest without supplemental oxygen, as they try and go to the highest point of Mount Everest and tell the country, you know, health is devolved, they should also walk the talk by ensuring, Mr. Speaker, they look at it, they also address human rights, human resource, and ensure our doctors, our clinicians, our laboratory technicians, our clinical officers are well remunerated in terms of access, Mr. Speaker. So the issue of ICT Mr. Speaker, will create employment and ensure that there are factors in it, Mr. Speaker. I'll run through because in the interest of time and allow my colleagues to contribute. Mr. Speaker, with the national ICT policy and in-government and e-government strategy, we now have citizen services. E-citizen, Mr. Speaker, nowadays you must apply everything through e-citizen. Are we like the ICT policy, Mr. Speaker? We must use now and ensure that we push in place because the President is very keen with the ICT labs. Let us use, Mr. Speaker, to also prevent cancer. Mr. Speaker, through e-health, the health sector in Kenya envisions efficient, accessible, equitable, secure, and consumer-friendly healthcare services enabled by ICT. Mr. Speaker, can you imagine if you have your doctor in India, but you are being told, go to Kenyatta National Hospital or MTRH or Garissa or a Coast. Just go to Garissa County Referral Hospital, sit with your doctor, and they bring huge screens. And then your doctor is in India. One, you have saved the cost for that patient of flight tickets, air flight tickets, the accommodation they would have undertaken, the fatigue, because he's somebody who is sick, Mr. Speaker. So this one is very important, and I want to ask my colleagues to rally around it so that we also fight cancer. Mr. Speaker, the biggest challenge with the fight against cancer is late diagnosis. Late diagnosis. You have had a case. I had a friend the other day was telling me they realized cancer is at stage 4, and there is little that you can do. The patient undergoes the pain. The resources that belong to the family is few, Mr. Speaker. So at the end of the day, this e-medicine and telemedicine will assist in cutting cost of healthcare services in this country. And I hope counties will borrow. After we amend the Cancer Prevention Act, counties must put e-health and telemedicine within the infrastructure so that somebody in Abaswen can go somewhere and go to that dispensary, Mr. Speaker, and look at it. Somebody in Kapkangani, Mr. Speaker, somewhere in Mgwen, somebody maybe in Kaptumo, sub-county hospital can go there, or Kapsabet, or even MTRH, or somewhere across the country, even in Kilome, Mr. Speaker, can be able to access. Mr. Speaker, the global trends, and I have told you, even the World Health Organization has defined the issue of World Health has defined the combined use of electronic communication and information technology in the health sector. So it borrows from just e-health. So, Mr. Speaker, I know members, just for benefit of members and the debate ahead, is that e-health has already been adopted by World Health Organization. Even in the fight against COVID, Mr. Speaker, e-health was being used on telemedicine because at that time there was totally lockdown. There was less movement. So we need now to amend the law to reflect, cited, Mr. Speaker, in future, if we encountered a challenge of like COVID, where there is lockdown, Mr. Speaker, patients will not die or suffer. And you remember, even at that point, there was no admissions in hospital. You are being told, take your patients home, Mr. Speaker. And another challenge, Mr. Speaker, you know most of the patients that are in cancer or suffering from cancer, most of them and have a challenge of being taken home where you are having palliative care. Mr. Speaker, you know, somebody who is terminally ill, one of the diseases that can force you, Mr. Speaker, is terminally ill, Mr. Speaker, and palliative care becomes the only option that you have. So you can imagine if you are treating your patient at home, somewhere in my village called Kapkeben, Mr. Speaker, in Mosoriat, and you are sitting there, and you, Mr. Speaker, you are able to do teleconferencing with your doctor in terms of going, Mr. Speaker. Even in Vision 2030, I know we have moved to Vision 2050 on SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, Mr. Speaker. It becomes, Mr. Speaker, one, it will revitalize the health structure. Mr. Speaker, let me say this, you know, and we were with you when the issue of Garissa happened on health. You know, most governors think health is the hardware. It is the software, the service you get when you go and see the doctor, when you get the service. You know, most governors, even my governor, we have a newborn facility unit within Kapsabet County Referral Hospital. It has taken almost 600 million, Mr. Speaker. But the governors are busy building infrastructure as opposed as providing the service delivery. So if we have to revitalize the health structure, it is very important. It will allow service delivery. And I'm told, Mr. Speaker, nowadays, you know we are using telemedicine, by the way. Because when you are sick and you have your doctor, you can write something on WhatsApp, and then they respond. It is part of the e-health that we have, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and that is my 50th point. Also, a study published in the National Library of Medicine shows that AI can also help in diagnosis in such a way it's precision. Mr. Speaker, where AI, Mr. Speaker, I hope you have been, all of us in Kenya, sometimes, and I know there are cases in KMPDU, where wrong diagnosis has been prescribed and even lives have been lost. Where you go to an hospital, you receive the wrong prescription, you get the wrong drugs, Mr. Speaker, wrong diagnosis, and you end up dying. And I know, Mr. Speaker, if we introduce the artificial intelligence and telemedicine and e-health, Mr. Speaker, we will be precise, like the eye of a military marksman, Mr. Speaker. That is the precision when the artificial intelligence will come in place, Mr. Speaker. Say that we don't do guesswork, Mr. Speaker. You go and say, you know, where I come from, they say, you know, the elderly people don't describe. They say, I feel the thing of the heart. The heart, they can't describe. They call it in my language, kita. So at the end of the day, it becomes a challenge when they go to see the doctor. So the doctor asks, what is this thing of the heart? So with the AI, Mr. Speaker, it will ensure there is a military precision. And I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, you are resonating with what I'm saying, because also all of our people will be described. But with the issue of AI, Mr. Speaker, it will ensure we use this precision of a military marksman to ensure, Mr. Speaker, and for us who work sniper movies, we know the essence of precision. When you work sniper movies, Mr. Speaker, in a number of either Netflix or Amazon or any other place, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this has been used, in fact, oncology artificial intelligence startup monitor. Mr. Speaker, I request, and I hope the Senator of Kisumu was here, I don't know how far Jaramogi Oginga Hospital has proceeded with the issue of artificial intelligence. I hope the problems that Nakuruwa Memorial Hospital are having would be resolved soon so that we can introduce AI, because I can see my leader is very keen, especially on telemedicine and e-health herself. I hope she's seeing it in terms of service. You know, she's an entrepreneurial lady. Maybe she's asking herself where the money can come from. But anyway, that's a story for another day, Mr. Speaker. This has led to 60% off-duty oncology calls by enabling patients to interact directly with AI-driven system, real-time monitoring. Oncologists assess patient symptoms and be able to interpret, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have, and World Health Organization is encouraging countries to do this. I hope yesterday, Mr. Speaker, you know, US said, as the president is in the US, Mr. Speaker, and I'm happy. Yesterday, you know, my brother, Senator Sifuna, had asked why part of the delegation of the government was in the country. But you know, in our culture, you leave the son or the daughter you trust to take care of the home. You don't go with them away. But Mr. Speaker, curiously, and I would have wished Senator Sifuna was here without prejudicial of standing under 101. I saw yesterday Azimio issued a statement that they are also part of delegation that go to the US. And I've seen minority leadership. They are saying bipartisan in that team, Mr. Speaker. So but I can see, I'm aware Senator Sifuna is in the country. So it also reflects on his standing within his own party. But that is a story for another day, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on e-health patients, it will ensure timelines, communication, and I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, in your gallery, there are a number of students. We are going, I know a number of them would want to pursue medicine, Mr. Speaker. It will also be part of the learning. And I hope, Mr. Speaker, after the passage of this, even in the training of medicine among doctors, the issue of telemedicine and e-health will feature prominently going into the future of medicine in this country. Mr. Speaker, some of the key results of the four most common use M-Health or mobile health, the one I was using, Mr. Speaker. The another issue is telehealth or telemedicine, where you call your doctor and tell what you are feeling. It's called telemedicine, Mr. Speaker. Used to associate with computing, big data, and security, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these stakeholders continue to be involved in many of the issues that we continue to have a challenge, Mr. Speaker. And the knowledge, and I hope, you know, when changes come to a sector, Mr. Speaker, there is always resistance. I hope the medicine world, especially in Kenya, will be ready. We are not taking away the role of anybody, Mr. Speaker, but we are ensuring that we are there. Mr. Speaker, The issue of, from the National Health Survey, and I've indicated this, can you believe, Mr. Speaker, in 2021, 37.5% were using telemedicine in 12 months. All of us use, even me when I'm unwell, I call my doctor, I'm feeling this way. That is what we call telemedicine. And many Kenyans are using, 37% of the people who are using, Mr. Speaker. In fact, among women, I don't know whether women care about their health so much. Telemedicine use increased with age. And I think as you get older, you become keen. You also choose what you eat. You start eating less sugar. Mr. Speaker, you know, with the issue of nutritionists, you know, you are being told, don't take a lot of sugar, take a little salt, don't take a lot of meat, don't overdrink the other stuff, hard stuff. We have even been told, don't overdrink tea, Mr. Speaker. And you know, Jesus took wine. People are being told, no, 1 glass or 2. But I think everything is in moderation. But I'm told here, women, compared with men, 42% use telemedicine and 31.7% compared to men. So I don't know whether, you know, I always see some funny things on social media where men are normally accused of being careless about their lives and health, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, women are doing a good job in ensuring that they keep themselves healthy, Mr. Speaker. I would have expected the Deputy Majority Leader to applaud that. While TSMS refers specifically to remote clinical services, telehealth can refer to non-clinical services. Mr. Speaker, for discipline, and I think primary health care is a term of technology, Mr. Speaker. Up and short, because I don't want to go through my notes that I had prepared, Mr. Speaker. Up and short is that the cancer prevention, the issue of ensuring that we prevent cancer in this country, and I think, Mr. Speaker, it will also diagnosis. We have said, and Mr. Speaker, are you aware? I don't know whether colleagues here have noticed this. Sometimes you go and see a doctor, and I have this case. You go and see a doctor, they go and do diagnosis, but they get the wrong thing. After some time, you are not told that it has metastasized into a cancerous. So with the introduction of telemedicine and artificial in services, Mr. Speaker, it will be very easy to properly detect, Mr. Speaker. And in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, there is also, and I'm happy Kenyans are industrious, and I hope students who are at the gallery, Mr. Speaker, we have Mercy S. Chipchirchir, Faculty of Information Technology, Strathmore University, which is trying to come up with innovative in terms of treating cancer, Mr. Speaker. And sometimes Mr. Speaker, in the last session, we were able to visit as liaison then to Kuala Lumpur. Is that in Indonesia? Yeah, Indonesia. We were in Kuala Lumpur, Mr. Speaker. Malaysia, we visited with the liaison. Those days when I was very powerful chair of JLAC, among other colleagues, chair of Energy, the former senator of Nyeri, former senator of Baringo, Mr. Speaker, and a number of chairs, including our speaker and then Speaker Kenneth Lusaka, the famous is it called Kwafela? I'm forgetting the name that is nicknamed in the village. And we went there, Mr. Speaker, and after some time, we went and visited the doctor, and they told us, Mr. Speaker, if your family's DNA is predisposed to cancer, you should at least take regular checkups within a year. And we met the former DCI, the current ambassador there. I think the call of duty is coming to an end, Ndegwa Muoro. And he took us, and we were able to check, and they check as per the body. But they are using AI. In fact, when I did I almost say ultrasound. I think ultrasound is done for women who are pregnant. Or can it be done to men also? Then there is, I don't know, the one that they use, Mr. Speaker, to check your internal organs. And you are able to see. You can decide to have your rest of the lower part to be paralyzed or the upper part, or you can go into anesthesia, or you watch how your body organs look like. And you can see from the screen when you are in the hospital, Mr. Speaker. I think that is the future, Mr. Speaker. Even myself, when I had operation of ACL, after we were elected with your father in the first session, Senator Haji Senior, You know, Mr. Speaker, I heard your colleague speaker referring me to junior in this house. If I served to your dad, I'm a very senior person in the ranking member of this house, Mr. Speaker. And at that time, Mr. Speaker, they should note that, Mr. Speaker. And I'm now currently serving with you, and God has been faithful. So, Mr. Speaker, looking at that aspect, we were able to discuss and be able, Mr. Speaker, health, Mr. Speaker, in all general, health continues to be the biggest spending to many families, Mr. Speaker. Health budget, apart from food, 60% of any household income in this country is spent on food. The next spending of our family is health, Mr. Speaker. We must do something at health. Even as the president is reforming the issue of NHIF, the counties must take the lead, Mr. Speaker. You saw my county, allegedly, instead of counties becoming a source of protection, Mr. Speaker, somebody was attempted rape within Kapsabet County Referral Hospital. Where will our women and girls run to? You also, allegations of sexual offenses in your hospital at Kapsabet, Karisa County Hospital, Referral Hospital, Mr. Speaker. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, we have been fair. We have amended Facilities Improvement Act to allow hospitals to spend at own source revenue there. So we expect a better health services at Mashinani, in Kobujoy, in Kapsengere, in Mosoriot, in Kabiyet, in Chepterwai, Mr. Speaker. We expect even in Marmanet, in Keringet, Mr. Speaker, in anywhere, even in Karisa, because now counties don't have a reason. We have given them to spend under Section 2122 of the Facilities Improvement Act that the President signed in 2023. So they will not say there is no fuel for ambulance. Because in Nandi, you have to pay 2,000 or 5,000 to get an ambulance to be taken to referral hospital. You go to the hospital, you have been told there is no medicine. But now we have given them to collect through cost sharing and spend at that point, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, finally, on the amendment of the Institute, this cancer, the Institute shall collaborate with the National Government Department responsible for health to promote training of human resource for oncology services. Mr. Speaker, you have seen the challenge of IFIMIS. You know, I've had a privilege of sitting in public accounts for some time now. When IFIMIS and IPPD was introduced, most counties are grappling with it. And that is why Ministry of Treasury has been able to put in place necessary mechanisms for training and capacity, Mr. Speaker. So this one, in this institute, the reason we are amending Section 31, Mr. Speaker, is to create a bipartisan, Mr. Speaker. I agree that health is devolved, Mr. Speaker, but also we must ensure as we devolve health, Mr. Speaker, is we need collaboration, because in as much as national government, and you can see the fourth schedule, the work of the national government is standard policy and standards that is being passed. The soft part is for national government. But the real deal of implementing the issue of health services, Mr. Speaker, is on the aspect of national government. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to call my colleagues. No one is clawing back devolution, because I know people will be asking, why are you saying you collaborate with the national government? Because they have capacity. We have referral hospitals. They have money. They set standards, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, on this cancer prevention amendment, I just wanted to do a lot of, I know I'm not an expert in this field, but I felt that the issue of cancer prevention control should be an issue. Mr. Speaker, we want to ensure that as a country, we speak the language of the people who continue to suffer, violating Article 43 because of cancer. Cancer is a dangerous killer disease that we must put concerted efforts as a country and proper resource, human resource, infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, going to the future. I have told you one of the icons that I normally celebrate, Mr. Speaker. You can imagine at 36, Bob Marley died out of cancer. If today he was still alive, what would be say, apart from singing One Love, apart from singing so many? I think Peter Tosh, if I'm right, also died because of cancer-related complications, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we must, as a country, ensure, I know our artist here, Senator Crystal, is excited that I know music. I know she might be one of the guru in music, and she wants, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, by the way, are you aware I attended her launch? Are you aware I attended her launch at Ngong Road when she was launching one of the best albums, Mr. Speaker? But I want to encourage her, since I'm a fan of reggae, he should start singing reggae so that some of us can listen to Rastafarianism. Okay,
Do you want to be informed, Senator Cherargei?
Yes.
Yes, Senator Christol Asige.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for this opportunity to inform Senator Cherargei of a fact that he may have not been aware of before this moment, which is, Chair, that yes, as an award-winning musician myself, I have many albums and many songs that I have composed and produced, and it will be of great enjoyment, perhaps, for the Senator to know that one of my upcoming albums will be a reggae album. And I would hope that he would also attend that launch of that particular album. And I will be inviting any member of parliament who enjoys reggae music, because we cannot stop reggae music. I appreciate it.
Mr. Speaker, that was useful information. Mr. Speaker, I hope I have attended. I'll also be able to attend, and I want to encourage colleagues. No one can stop reggae. I know people of BBI use that one, but but the BBI was stopped, but not reggae, Mr. Speaker. reggae is a way of life. The BBI was stopped, but reggae was not stopped, Mr. Speaker. So reggae will continue. I hope to listen to that album when you will be launching, and I hope Senator Mwenda Kataya, who is used to listening rumba and Kanda Bongo Man songs, can be able to attend, so that we can teach him the way of Rastafarianism, Mr. Speaker. And people who listen to Kapuka and many other songs. Mr. Speaker, yes, of course, we are aware it has not stopped, Mr. Speaker. You know, Senator Kataya Mwenda Mwofire listens only to Kanda Bongo Man and rumba songs, but we want to encourage him. You know, there are people who listen to Kapuka. There are others nowadays that they will listen to major songs. This major, there is a young man that normally sings, Mr. Speaker. I know Senator Christol understands. And in fact, your visitors, Mr. Speaker, also in their generation have how they listen to their songs, Mr. Speaker. It becomes also, it behooves all of us, especially with the era of TikTok. And I hope, Senator Christol, you will share your presentation on TikTok and social media so that we can listen. You know, this generation, Gen Z, only listen, who are seated up there, only listen through TikTok. Your Facebook, I'm being told it is over. Mr. Speaker, the aspect I'm trying to conclude in the issue of Cancer Institute is we must ensure we give necessary resources, Mr. Speaker, going into the future. We put resources through Cancer Institute, but I'm hesitant, Mr. Speaker. Do you know this issue of boards continues to be a problem, Mr. Speaker? Continues to be a problem in terms of boards. But my only concern, Mr. Speaker, let us ensure we put in place Cancer Institute, we give resources, Mr. Speaker, and ensure that in the partnership, and I know there is many funding, Mr. Speaker, in terms of partnership, Mr. Speaker, we ensure, Mr. Speaker, that we put enough resources as per aspiration of Section 31. Because when you read the reading of Section 31, Mr. Speaker, this Cancer Institute is very critical. Because we want to do research, Mr. Speaker. For example, in Bomet, or I don't know whether it was Bomet, people were alluding that some of us who drink mursik that is mixed with some, and I know Senator Ezen understands, that we drink, it is called mursik, mala. They sometimes mix with a special tree, and people have been saying, you know, there was an argument, Mr. Speaker, saying areas where people drink tea. You know, the other day we were celebrating International Tea Drinkers. Not drinkers, International Tea Day. The temperature sometimes is too high, maybe it's causing throat cancer. So we need Cancer Institute to tell us why, for example, Kiambu, Nairobi, and Nakuru, where Senator Deputy Majority Leader comes from, is leading in cancer, so that we don't create wrong perception. Why is it so? The Cancer Institute must be given necessary resources to do the research. so that we understand why we are losing over 27,000 Kenyans every year through cancer. Mr. Speaker, why is it so? How do we ensure that we put place, Mr. Speaker? That is the Cancer Institute. When you look under Section 31, Mr. Speaker, you know, Mr. Speaker, this is one of the technical subject. So we must put more resources to cancer. And I want to challenge, Mr. Speaker, National Assembly, as they appropriate budget for ministries. The reason, Mr. Speaker, and I want to say this passionately, the reason Senate today wants 415 billion to be added to counties, against 390-something that was proposed National Assembly, is to have enough resources to fight cancer in our villages, Mr. Speaker. Our people are painfully suffering. Yet out of 4.2 trillion Kenyan shillings, only we are requesting for 415 billion to go to counties to assist in the provision of healthcare in this republic. Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge, and I'm happy, I have seen a number of mediation committee members, that they should not move an inch, but ensure that 415 billion is in place, Mr. Speaker. That is what I wanted to move and ensure that we agree, Mr. Speaker, that as a Senate, the reason we are pushing more resources is to ensure that we put in place the necessary health, Mr. Speaker. With very many remarks, and I want to say, I know I have 1 hour, I know I still have 30 minutes to go, but I want to end there and allow my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, to also be able to contribute. This is, I expect all senators, and I'll be patient to listen, on the issue of cancer prevention. Mr. Speaker, the issue of cancer is a serious problem. When you go to Kisii, where Senator Gloria Orwoba comes from, I can assure you Senator Gloria Orwoba might be in 50 WhatsApp groups fundraising for cancer pensions or any other. So, Speaker, with those very many remarks, allow me to invite the Vice Chairperson of Senate Finance and Budget Committee and Nairobi delegation, Senator Tabitha Mutinda. I know there were many Tabitas, but the one and only, Senator Tabitha Mutinda, to second. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senate, what's your point of order, Gloria?
Mr. Speaker, Standing Order 1, I just want to pass information, Mr. Speaker. This is a very important bill, and we probably are supporting it, Mr. Speaker, but we have highlighted the issue of our order paper, always prioritizing bills from the National Assembly, when the senators who are sitting here have so many bills that are pending and that are being queued, Mr. Speaker. I have raised this issue with the Senate Business Committee, and Mr. Speaker, it is very demoralizing that we come here as senators and we are just running business from National Assembly, Mr. Speaker. So even as we debate this, and hence the reason why you can see the lethargy in the House, it is not that we don't support the content of the issue of the bill. It is just that the senators in the House have got so much pending business. I know that our senator here, our Matangi, he has had a motion that has been pending for over 3 weeks that has not even been put in the order paper, Mr. Speaker. So I just want to urge the Senate Business Committee to consider that this is the upper house, the Senate itself, and the senators have got business that we would like prioritized, Mr. Speaker, on the order paper. Myself, this is Menstrual Hygiene Month. We are celebrating May 28th, Menstrual Hygiene Day, next week on Tuesday. My bill has been sitting in the National Assembly for 1 year, pending concurrence, Mr. Speaker. Yet in this House, we are prioritizing the National Assembly business, Mr. Speaker. I just want to put it out that it is not that we don't support this, but it is disappointing for members, and hence even when we were trying to tell Cherargei to cut short his comments, it's because it is a bill that we would like to discuss after we have prioritized our bills in the Senate, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gloria. I think we have members from SBC here, Senator Tabitha being majority leader, and Senator Tabitha Mutinda being also in the SBC. So we will leave that matter to SBC, and they will provide information to the Speaker, who should give a ruling on your point of order, Senator Gloria. Thank you. Before this motion is second, I have a message from the Chair. Honorable Senators, in the public gallery, we have 156 students and 3 teachers from Moi High School, Eldoret in Uasin Gishu County, who are undertaking an education visit in the Senate. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Senators, I will give an opportunity to 2 senators to welcome the students. I will give Senator Crystal Asige to welcome the senators, because among the 156 students, there are several students who are people with disability, and I think our very own VIP should be the person to give them a word of welcome. And I will also allow Senator Professor Margaret Kamar to also say 1 or 2 things to welcome the students. Senator Crystal Asige.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for the opportunity to welcome the delegation from Moi High School here this afternoon. I, of course, understand what it is like to be a young student with dreams and ambitions moving forward. And of course, trips like these to Houses of Parliament, like here in Nairobi, are very important for you to be able to see a glimpse of what may be in your future if you decide to become a leader in this country and represent your counties and your country at large. I also want, Chair, to give a special thanks and a special welcome to the students with disabilities who decided to also join the delegation and be a part of this very important experience in the Senate. To them who are here, our learners with disabilities, I am the senator in the Senate that represents PWDs, women and youth, because I am all of those 3 things. I'm a PWD myself, visually impaired, I'm a woman, and I am a youth, just like some of you are. And I just wanted to inform them that I have several bills with you in mind specifically so that your futures can be ensured as inclusive and as equitable as possible, so that you don't have to struggle like I had to struggle when I was a learner at your age in Mombasa County, trying to, fight discrimination and stereotypes and non-inclusive environments so that I can at least get an education and come to this place where I am today. I have the PWD bill, which I am sponsoring. I have the Learners with Disabilities bill, which I am sponsoring with my colleague behind me, Senator Kamar, and the Kenya Sign Language bill as well that I'm sponsoring. And I hope you will be able to engage with those bills, even though they might be a little bit complicated with the language, but your teachers will definitely support you in trying to understand what they will do for you in future once passed by the executive. So I thank you again. Welcome to the Senate, and remember, especially to the PWDs in the group, that this mountain has been given to you so that you can show others that it can be moved. So feel encouraged and pursue your education with everything that you have, because you never know what is in the future. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Professor Kamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to welcome the girls from Eldoret. Mr. Speaker, I'm an old girl of Moi Girls Eldoret. I was in Moi Girls when it was Highlands. That was 1977, 78, before their mothers were born. And I want to encourage them that the sky is not the limit when it comes to education. I want to congratulate them first for getting the opportunity to go to that wonderful school. I have interacted with your teachers, and I know that you are set for higher grounds. Moi Girls, like the Highlands, which was before, has produced leaders, it has produced professionals of all kinds. So you have the opportunity to be anything that you want to be, because of the way that school has been designed. You have a swimming pool for relaxation, but more than anything, you have wonderful houses. I was in Circuit myself, and I want to encourage you to use every minute that you are in school. Girls from that school, Mr. Speaker, are girls who wake up and run. They don't just walk. They run when they don't lazy themselves, and I want to encourage them that any behavior that you calculate in high school follows you for the rest of your life. I am here as an example that when I got molded in high school, I became who I am. So I want to encourage you that you can be anything. You can be a member of parliament like I was. You can be a senator like I am today. You can be a minister like I was. So you have everything. Those of us who are alumni of that school are proud, and we want to encourage you and your teachers to push on, and you have what it takes to be the best. Thank you for coming, and thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome them on behalf of my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Professor Kamar. Seconder, you can move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And let me start by putting myself on record that I do rise to second this particular bill, the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment Bill that is being co-sponsored by Senator Cherel Guy, yes, from the National Assembly. And before I proceed further, Mr. Speaker, let me acknowledge and state that the sentiments that have been mentioned in terms of prioritization of Senate bills, I agree with it. It's very important. But it's also good to note, a case like yesterday, you as a speaker, you were seated on your seat there, and with the help of those, so the clerks here, you had to amend the order paper because almost 3 bills, if I remember correctly, had to be skipped because the owners were not present. And I think actually today, I've seen also, you've stated before this House that you have to rearrange, the order paper. So I'd also want to urge colleagues, in the event that prioritization of our bills on the order paper, also let us make an effort to be able to ensure we remove them from the order paper by ensuring that we are on the floor and try to discuss them. I support the element that Senate bills should be prioritized, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, embarking on the amendment that talks about the e-health as far as the cancer prevention is concerned, Mr. Speaker, there are 2 keywords that come aboard, that is prevention and control. Like a medical student, Mr. Speaker, I did my first practice, medical industry was pharmacy. I have dispensed, and I'm still in a position to continue to dispense and prescribe and read a prescription, Mr. Speaker. I pride in having interacted with patients and having had the opportunity to be able to offer my medical services at that particular level. And when we talk about prevention and control, it's very, very key, because at the dispensing level of a prescription, it is at a point now that you're doing a treatment. But if a prevention had been done probably earlier, then maybe a patient does not need to get to the level of that particular treatment at that particular time. Focusing on the issue of the e-health, it brings about the digital aspect. Mr. Speaker, as a digital ambassador of ICDL in this country, I advocate for digital services, digital transformations, an ideology that also the Kenya Kwanza government supports, and it's in one of our priority manifestos. Through the CS Owalo in the Ministry of ICT, we've also been able to see quite a number of improvements of the digital services, from about 300 government services to about over 15,000 government services on the e-platform, Mr. Speaker, which is a great stride and a great improvement. And so when it comes to the issue of the medical industry, it is also a very key aspect that all hospitals should be able to adapt, both public and and also private. It's a very important technology at this particular time and era, because you look at where we are. It is through our gadgets that we use, be it a laptop, be it the mobile phone, that really has enhanced quick responses, quick communication, and the speedy responses as far as use of these gadgets is concerned. And so when it comes to this particular amendment of e-health, then it plays a very key role when we acknowledge that the digital services or the digital gadgets that we have and use play a very key role. We can also not only use them to make payments the way we see and make money transactions. We have M-Pesa, which has really changed lives, both at personal level and at business level. M-Pesa has come and transformed the money industry. It's a paperless money industry, Mr. Speaker, which has helped families, business people to be able to save a lot of time. Security when it comes to money matters, because you can be able to, put your money in a digital form and you are able to transact. So it is in this transformation, with the case example of M-Pesa, then we should be able to open up and allow for this change. And Mr. Speaker, as a student of business, you know that change comes with a lot of difficulty, not only in organizations, but also to individuals who before they believe that this can be done like this. We've been in a setup of, in a bigger percentage, believing that the traditional way of doing things is sort of the best way, and having a feel that this is the only way to get the best results, because there's that mentality that you have to physically go and see a doctor so that you can feel that you've really gotten the medical treatment that you deserve. But times have changed. The same way you don't really need to go to a bank and check your bank balance, but you can use your phone with the many digital platforms that we have on banking and be able to check your balance. You can be able to make bank transfers. The same way you can be able to liaise and communicate to a doctor or a medical practitioner to be able to indicate your illness, and you can be able to get guidance actually on time. And this brings about the title of the bill, which talks about prevention. Because then if you don't use the speedy mode of technology, it might delay and bring about much more issues later, Mr. Speaker. And that is because you look at cancer. Cancer, Mr. Speaker, comes in different stages. There's stage 1, there's stage 2, stage 3, and stage 3 and 4, which are very, very critical, and they're said to be the stages that you're almost at your final stages. But if you are able to note the issue of cancer at an early stage, then it becomes easier to be able to get medication at an early time. Or even if you've not really have the cancer cells, but at least you can be able to know, then how do I prevent in the event that you have symptoms that are sort of leading or showing that this could be the case. And if it's not the case, then you're in a position to be well advised medically on how to prevent this particular disease, Mr. Speaker. So